So how does the shape of a demand curve affect the quantity that's being demanded? Let's go in and let's take a demand curve that is relatively flat in nature. Now, from now on, when you draw these curves, you must exaggerate them. In other words, you can't be going in and drawing every demand curve at this nice angle like we've been doing in previous chapters, because if you do that, the effect will never show up. So what we want to do in this case is to draw this demand curve relatively flat, looking something like that. Now what we're going to do is we are going to start off with an initial price, let's just call it P naught. And we know as you follow that line across where it strikes the demand curve, that is going to give you your current quantity demanded. Right? And let's just say that's Q naught units of the good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to increase the price up to P1. Now we know by the negative relationship between between price and quantity demanded that as price goes up, quantity demanded is going to go down. But I want you to notice as we move along this demand curve up in this direction that not only does our quantity demanded decrease, but that quantity demanded decreases by a very large amount. So in this situation, we would call this elastic demand. And from now on, when you see the word elastic, you want to be thinking there is a strong response to a change in price. So if price goes up, quantity demanded is going to go down by a very large amount. If price goes down, quantity demanded is going to increase by a very large amount. Now, on the other hand, let's go in and take the exact opposite situation where we have a demand curve that is relatively steep in nature. So again, don't draw a demand curve that looks like this. When you draw it steep, go in and draw it looking something like this. Now, we're going to start out with the same price that we did in our previous example. So here's your P naught. And given your initial price, where it strikes the demand curve, there is going to be your initial quantity. Now, we're going to go in and increase the price by exactly the same amount as we did in the previous example. Now again, as price goes up, quantity demanded is going to go down, but I want you to notice because of the steepness of this curve, quantity demanded does go down, but it doesn't go down by very much at all. So if this is the situation, we call this inelastic demand. And from now on, when you see the term inelastic, you want to be thinking that there is a weak response to a change in price. There is a weak response to a change in price. So if the price goes up, let's say by 1%, your quantity demanded is going to go down by less than 1%. Let's just say 0.5% or 0.75%. If the price goes down by 1%, quantity demanded is going to go up by less than 1%.